Welcome to Dignity Voices podcast. Real people telling real stories on how they overcame homelessness.
Welcome to Dignity Voices, everybody, where every story matters and every voice carries the power to change the way we see the world. Here, we don't just talk about statistics, we share stories, real people, real struggles, real breakthroughs. So today, I'm excited to talk about homelessness with Jade Alexander, who's our operations director, Jonathan.orozco, who's our development director, and our special guest today is Mayor John Cotugno, Vero Beach, and we're super excited to be able to share what we've been doing with the city of Vero Beach and our partnership with the city. So I'll take the first question to Mayor John. Mayor John, what first inspired you to serve the people of Vero Beach?
Well, really a good question. I just recently retired down here. I had always been involved with public service issues, advocacy actually for the Alzheimer's Association when I was out prior to go to Florida to retire out in Silicon Valley. And I was involved living in the Central Beach area of Vero Beach. We were having an infamous traffic issue. And decided to become involved because it was happened to be on my street. People were getting involved, community network. My parents, and everything eventually somehow involves back to how you grew up. My parents were always actively involved with the community. They're blue collar, first generation Italians, but they're involved with organizing a union at their workplaces. They were always involved with the community. Politically, they were involved, which led my brother taking a career in politics. But they were always involved in trying to get advocacy for the community, for the people of who they knew, who they understood, the blue collar person in Providence, where I grew up. And so I guess you sometimes you're inspired, and not even knowing you're inspired. And I think that's based on what my background, to my parents, what they did, and also maybe some Dominican sisters in catechism.
This is your second term as mayor, right? Or is this your third?
This is actually my fourth.
This is your fourth term as mayor. So before I pass it over to Jade, what has surprised you the most about being the mayor of Vero Beach?
The difference in corporate America, in government, when you're working with a team of people, is usually when you're in corporate America and you kind of go up the ladder, become quote unquote a manager, whatever level that is, you kind of know who the people are. You know the surrounding people. You know who you can trust, who helps, who doesn't help, who has a different agenda. The issue with coming on to city council is that you have 5 people elected at large, and everybody thinks we've been anointed, okay, by the constituency, and therefore they have a different opinion. And it takes you time to sort out who you can trust, who who is really advocating for the community and not for self or for some ideology or something like that. And I think that's the difference.
And it's extremely difficult too, because as soon as you have one council of people that you built relationships with, that can turn over.
Every year we have potentially a different makeup of council.
Yeah.
So we have an election coming out this November, and it'll be 3 seats up. So you potentially have 3 out of the 5 will be.
And it's just like starting all over again.
And it can be just like starting all over again. Yeah, it can be, and has been in some instances.
Yeah, true.
So, Mayor John, you've been a big supporter of the Source and our mission to eradicate homelessness in Vero Beach. What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about homelessness in our community?
Oh, that it brings crime. I think homelessness or unhoused or whatever, however you want to phrase it, okay, has a tendency to threaten people, and they feel threatened because in many instances it could be them, and then when that happens, when people feel it could be them, but from the grace of God, could be. I probably get that wrong, but they feel threatened. They feel threatened by someone who doesn't look like them. Maybe is disheveled. Maybe has a mental health issue, and they just because mental health has threatens people also because they know it can in many instances happen to your family without a notice person. And I think that was the main concern. They think it brings crime. It's something. It's They want to discuss it. They want to avoid the discussion because it's difficult for people to broach it, to discuss it, and I think it's just fear of the unknown and fear of the fact that maybe in many instances they could be one step away from that person who's lying on the bench or asking for a handout.
Yeah. So Major John, one of the things that I noticed about you right away was that you were like us, someone that just likes to see things getting done.
Yes.
So what is the city currently doing to address homelessness in practical terms?
Wow, practical. Well, I think it goes back to it's a continuation of what we did a few years ago. When a call was put out through the stakeholder community for the homeless population, and we all met, and we really didn't know each other at the time. We met over at the United Against Poverty building in their conference room, community room, and we had a discussion on how we could address the issue of homelessness and what was happening at Pocahontas Park. That's when we first got to know each other, and I think that's what really sprung the city, I believe, into more proactive addressing the issue of homelessness and the unhoused population. We came to not even an agreement. It wasn't even an agreement. The source stepped up and said that they would address the issue. That it should be the park needed to be cleaned up in a state of disrepair and unmaintained for a period of time, or low maintenance on it, and it had to do with a lot of city issues that were caused by decisions made that really starved the city of the funds needed to keep a lot of these things up.
Yeah.
Infrastructure and just general maintenance.
And we can't forget though that at that conversation, the source was very intentional about being quiet at that meeting.
Yes,
But if it wasn't for Beverly Paris, who none of you guys can see, is sitting over there, so we're gonna have to zoom out and catch Mrs. Paris. She actually spoke up for us and said, "Hey, you guys need to listen to what the source has." And we had already had some back conversations with the city and Monty Falls and chief of police, and we said, okay, if we're going to come to a meeting, here's what we're going to do. We want to provide a service back to our community because we believe that our neighbors have value and they should be contributing as opposed to just taking from our community.
Sure.
And I think that's where the shift came in for both of us, where I think we were probably the first nonprofit that knocked on the door that said, we'll provide this service and we won't ask for any money.
Right. That was the amazing part. So that was became a private public partnership of sorts.
Yeah.
And I can remember the first day your team showed up and community work showed up.
Yeah.
And started doing the work around the park. And I don't know how many jugundous bags of trash you pulled out. And the park immediately started to look better. But I thought the thing that really brought it to the next level was the fact that you were willing to have your community works people kind of act as a informal outreach to the homeless individuals that used to gather up
To their community.
to their community.
To their community.
And that to me is better than any hired hand that comes in there and tries to speak to someone who hasn't really experienced the effect of homelessness and on both themselves and their families.
So how can our audience best support the work being done here in Vero Beach?
Wow. I think the first thing is when you see a homeless person, unhoused, whatever terminology you want to use, don't prejudge. That's the first thing, And the second thing is try to work within the opportunities you have to meet people, to discuss with these people. I want who are homeless for usually way beyond their control. Talk to them if you get a chance to. And provide, if you can provide opportunities for the source and the trained people, provide opportunities to help those people become back to the lives they used to have. Okay. And if you have programs that you would like to promote, work with organizations like yourself who will help people. And then it's the age-old thing: send money.
Okay. You saw everybody, right? Or send money. It's sir. That.
I mean, I just want to clarify, we're not asking, but Mayor John is asking.
You guys are better at it than I am. But I mean, let's be honest. I mean, a city runs on a budget. We generate revenue.
Yeah.
And you run on a budget, and you need to keep, but your programs, the fuel of your programs is your budget. How you keep these things. How do you address? You have volunteers. Yes, that's time and effort from your volunteers, but you need to get buses. You need to buy food trucks. You need to buy culinary equipment. You need to the bags that you do for private aviation. You need to fund those things in a utility. You need to pay for the utilities. You need in all those types of things, and that's just the fuel for the engine in it, and and that's the reality of what the life the society we live in. That's what you need. I mean,
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming out and spending this time with us.
anytime.
Yeah. So we just want to say thank you to everybody for listening and tuning in and hearing from Mayor John and Jade, our neighborhood service director, and Johnny, our development director. And we're expecting to see donations roll in because of Mayor John. So we can't thank you guys for all of your help and everything that you guys do. But please follow us at www.iamthesource.org. Follow us on social media. We have a strategic goal to get to functional zero here in Indian River County in the next 36 months, which means we are dedicated to eradicating homelessness here in Indian River County, but we're also dedicated to helping other communities across the country and inspiring them to look at our model and implement our model in their community. So we can't thank you guys enough, and we will see you next week.